So I've been thinking way more than I probably should about something. Then again, though, that seems to be all I do. Shouldn't surprise anybody. I did a video the other day about talking about how sacrifice and being a people pleaser is actually self-destructive, can be self-harming, and it's not good. It's moral, and it's admirable, but overall it's that I think more than any other, that trait that gets used against you, and it's your undoing. And yet the way it gets into your head, the way that it gets, you get twisted up by somebody. These accusations are saying, you're stubborn, you're selfish, there's never any compromising with you. It's like you're unable to just compromise on anything ever. And we see this a lot more in things like divorces and co-parenting, or the quote-unquote inalienable abuser or narcissist, whatever you want to call them, whatever it is you're dealing with. Your inalienable bundle of poison, right? I'm sure we've all heard this. It's like there's just never any compromising with you. It's just your way or the highway. Once again, King Jonathan, or whatever your name is. I'm sure if you're a girl, your name's not Jonathan. Those accusations are the ones that just can just stick in your craw, right? And how does and I think it's worth illustrating something in a little bit deeper of a model. So I want to take this a little deeper than what I did in the last video. So let's think about this a second. If you're a people pleaser, if you sacrifice for others, if you're a giver, and you're sacrificing, and we talk about how that can be self-destructive because you are taking a piece of you and giving it to somebody. Hold on. Yeah, boy! Sorry. You're taking a piece of you and giving it away, and then that leaves a hole in you, and over time you become increasingly perforated until you have really nothing left to give. But the expectation, then the pressure, the manipulation comes from accusations of saying there's just never any compromising with you, or I wish you would just compromise. There's just no negotiating with you. And it's like, when you have nothing left to give, even if you do and you just choose not to, whether it's voluntary or involuntary, they leverage these accusations about not being able to negotiate, not being able to compromise, being stubborn, all that shit. And it's just not true. But the word compromise has really been just gnawing at just in the back of my head all day. So think about this. What is a compromise? Well, a compromise is the outcome of a negotiation. And what is a negotiation?
The art of the deal.
Well, in the simplest terms, a negotiation is an agreement between two parties as to what gets sacrificed and what gets gained.
Greenland.
In other words, if you're going to make a sacrifice, there has to be some sort of gain or reward for it, short-term, long-term. In order for a compromise to be reached, there has to first be a negotiation.
I want it.
And for there to be a negotiation, that means that somebody needs to be giving you something in return.
Like Greenland.
And it never happens. And whenever it does, it's a nothing burger. Like, hey, can I borrow $500 and I'll give you a nothing burger?
Yeah, or Greenland.
Oh, sure. I love nothing burgers. They're delicious. Or a lie sandwich.
Or a Greenland
But-
sandwich.
That's whenever there's compromising. They say this, but we don't really think about it at the lower level. We're too busy trying to process the accusation. There's just never any compromising with you. It's like, well, what do I get out of it? Well, you can watch me enjoy your sacrifice. Well, that's not cool. No, I mean, I don't want to do that. Like, that does not interest me.
It's a shithole,
You know?
anyways.
So this is my point. The art of compromise, sacrifice, and negotiation. Right? Because all three of these go together. You cannot have compromise without sacrifice and negotiation. You can't have any one of those three without the other two. Right? In order to have a negotiation, there needs to be sacrifices and ultimately a compromise reached. In order for there to have been a negotiation,
Police reported. Do you see them? You think they want Cookie?
sorry, I have Cookie Monster as my GPS voice now. He was warning me about the police. Anyways, I guess you can have sacrifice without negotiation or compromise, but that's just a really, really, really shitty situation to be in. If you're just sacrificing for the sake of sacrificing, you got to pull yourself up a little bit from there. So, I mean, that's entirely possible. But for the most part, you can't have sacrifice. You should not be willing to sacrifice unless there's a bit of a negotiation and a compromise reached where there is some sort of karma-based return for your sacrificial investment. Another better pair of words, I think, is acquisition and forfeiture, right? So when they talk about compromising, and in general, whenever you're dealing with a manipulator, it always comes down to acquisition and forfeiture. And they just care about acquisition without forfeiture. So it's sort of a broken process. There's a choreography to life where we generally expect that the happy path to life is through the subtle arts of negotiations and compromises constantly, and what is known as governing dynamics, which is a concept you see in the movie A Beautiful Mind with Russell Crowe. Governing dynamics is the state of mind, or your modus operandi, to where your decisions have to be made based on what is best for you, but what is also based for your group. And you cannot just be a group thinker. You cannot just be an individual thinker. You have to simultaneously combine the two. And we see that this is quickly becoming a rare personality trait to have. Less and less people are thinking in this manner. But still, if that's the manner you have to think in. There's a choreography to society. And I want to show you this clip from a music video to get you thinking. It's like a choreographed dance. So have a look at this. So that's a pretty good, just general visualization of everybody doing their thing, getting through life, your day-to-day routine. You go to work, you go home, you go to work, you go home, you go to work, you go home. You earn your paycheck, you spend your money. You earn your paycheck, you spend your money. That's how the vast majority of society lives. But then somebody who's a sociopath or psychopath does not buy into the choreography and is not part of the system. So they want what they want. They don't care about the choreography. They don't care about the people within the choreography. They blast through the party and go straight to what they want, which also happens in this music video. Now I know what you're thinking. Damn, that's really hot. And it is. And it can be attractive. People like that can be attractive because it's like, wow, you know what? I guess I've been doing all of this stuff unnecessarily. Can you imagine if you've been on that dance floor for your whole life and then you see the homeboy just blow right by you and go for the girl in red? Like, and you're like, damn, I feel dumb. Right? But at the end of the day, it's ultimately toxic, right? Because someone like that does not function well at a dance party for any amount of time. And so the people that we deal with disordered people, and disorder meaning that they don't fall in. They don't fall into the order, right? I know for sure if I tried to dance on a dance floor like that, I would be one disordered dude. Because there's no way in hell I can dance. I don't know the choreography, right? But I could pretend I can be like, and I would just stand out and probably get tomatoes and lettuce and other vegetables thrown at me. It's not healthy. We have a choreography that we follow for life because it's a balance between risk and reward. It's a balance between acquisition and forfeiture. Most of us really, all it takes to be happy in life is just to achieve some balance. Where we get disordered is where we achieve imbalance, or we either desire the imbalance or we perceive what is balanced to be imbalanced, or vice versa. We might think that we're balanced, but in reality we're unbalanced, right? Case in point, if I thought I was doing good dancing like this, ow, I'm way too white. But I mean, if I went out there doing my thing like that on the dance floor, I'd be grooving, having a good time in my own little head, and everybody else is like, what the hell is this white guy doing? What? No, you're not even in the correct century. You see what I mean? But in my head, I'm cool. You know, that's an example of me being in a situation where I think everything is okay, but the public perception is that I'm not. And vice versa, there's also the imbalanced perception, like the guy in the video, where he just doesn't...
Heavy traffic reported. Oh, how about we play game? Yeah. Oh, like I Spy.
Remind me to change my GPS voice. You see what I mean? You have to have balance. You have to consider the balance of acquisition and forfeiture before you go sacrificing. And before anybody accuses you of being stubborn or of being uncompromising or selfish or anything like that, they're characteristically wrong, like at the core level. Because to even levy an accusation like that requires somebody to already be unbalanced. Like, it takes an unbalanced person, an unbalanced life to even hurl that accusation at anybody, right? It takes an imbalance for that. So the second, if you're a good person and you're somebody who would give the shirt off your back and you're the peacemaker and all that stuff, well then you know that the second anybody has a problem with you or accuses you of being selfish or just uncompromising, it's fundamentally wrong, and it's a lie, and it's a bold-faced declaration of their imbalance and their disorder and their disruption within society. Because it's a lot like if going out to that dance scene and accusing one of those dancers of doing it wrong, same as everybody else. Like, I just walk out to the dance floor and be like, bro, you suck! You suck! Get off the floor! right? And everybody's like dancing like perfectly, and then there's me. Get off the floor, you suck! See what I mean? Like, what would happen? Whoever it is I would be yelling at would not all of a sudden feel self-conscious. They'd be like, who the fuck is this asshole? You know? And security would just grab me by the beard and yank me out, right? So, I understand this. When you meet somebody when you come into conflict with somebody, and you're a good person, when somebody starts causing conflict, that is because of their disorder, not yours. You know? Remember, compromising is the art of negotiating the balances of sacrifices and acquisitions. And that is how we get through life. And if you sacrifice and expect nothing in return, that is self-destructive. It's admirable, but you're killing yourself. And you shouldn't. Because it is, like I said in the other video, it is not normal to take your problems to another person for them to solve more than once. Unless there's been like years. But it is not normal to routinely bring your personal problems to somebody else with the expectations of a solution, and then to call them uncompromising when they do not solve your own problems. That is not normal. That is not okay. And if you're the kind to do it because all you want to do is help, and you help and you never expect anything in return because that's what you were taught, then you're going to destroy yourself. You're going to turn yourself into a servant, a slave, or a victim. And then while you're turning yourself into the servant, the slave, or the victim, your headmaster, the one you serve, is going to be turning around and claiming that they're the victim. Because then you go even lower. See, they haven't actually lowered their status. But when you're a servant to your headmaster, and your headmaster starts lowering themselves voluntarily, well then you in your servant mindset must also lower yourself. But if the headmaster's faking it, well then you, the servant, go lower and lower and lower and lower unnecessarily, while the headmaster stays at his post. Think about that. Thank you very much for watching. Please like, comment, or share. I'll see you on the next video.